mentioned one of the reasons today's leaders' meeting was so contentious was the threat by two Democratic senators that they might not vote on next week's budget extender bill. One of those senators is my next guest. Pedro Espada Jr. is the majority leader of the state Senate, and he joins us now in the studio. Thanks for your time.
Thank you, Liz.
Okay, actually, I'm confused because you seem to have gone a little bit back and forth on this. So let me just ask you point blank. Will you vote yes or no on the budget extender that the governor will send on Monday, is expected to send in the absence of a budget deal?
I haven't seen it. What I have said, Liz, is that if it contains anything near the kinds of cuts that we basically unilaterally he proposed and we accepted this past Monday, that I will not repeat that on behalf of the state of New York and the people of New York. We can't run our government piecemeal fashion. We can't do that again.
Okay.
And if it's present again in a budget extender, then the governor would have pushed the button on shutting government down.
Okay, they may be that the governor has put you in that scenario in between a rock and a hard place, but ultimately it is up to the legislature to accept the budget extender or force a government shutdown. I mean, yes, everyone's playing a game. You would rather choose a government shutdown over cuts that perhaps some of your colleagues argue you could go back and fix later if there's a final budget deal.
Let's be clear on what's happening here. We have totally eviscerated and muted the legislative prerogative here, which is why we come up to Albany. This is a terrible precedent of putting the legislature in a whirlpool of choices about accept these painful cuts or shut down government. We're smarter than that. We're better than that. And what we're saying is, it's 2.5 months late. We know we can have closure to this. Let's get it done. Let's get it done now. Otherwise, we will be giving an unelected governor more power than President Obama has over the national legislature. Does David Paterson now have over this legislature and this budget?
Senator, what choice does he have? As you yourself just noted, the budget is now over 2 months late. There are people all over the state wondering, school districts, what's going on, local governments, Mayor Bloomberg in New York City trying to figure out how he's going to have a budget, not clear on what kind of state funding is coming down the pike from Albany. Cuts are coming. Nobody's sure what they're going to be. Right. So what choice does Governor Paterson have? Because the legislature and the governor, of course, takes 3 to tango in Albany, have failed to have a budget deal. He's got to have something.
We can't continue to fail is the point. And if you leave folks to their own druthers, then maybe they will want the cover that this governor could provide. But what I'm speaking out about is that the pain that this is causing millions of people now. In my district, I found out after my vote the impact of $800 million in Medicaid cuts. I have more hospitals in my district than any other state senatorial district. And so if people are happy with having their budget and their fiscal affairs handled in this manner, then please write me and tell me that I'm wrong. But the fact of the matter is that what I've been getting is thank you very much, because it's given impetus to really getting this budget done.
Okay, but you actually have a health clinic yourself that gets Medicaid funding, so I would assume that you are hurting as well.
Everyone is hurting. All the health care providers, hospital providers, in a piecemeal fashion, they can't do their budgets. School districts, Liz, cannot do their budgets in this manner. It's irresponsible, yes, and we have to end it. It's simple as that.
Don't you have some responsibility for that? Doesn't the Senate have some responsibility for that?
Of course we do. And we also have responsibility for ending it and ending it now and doing it right. Get a fiscal plan before us for a vote instead of a piecemeal approach to this.
Okay, then give up on the property tax relief portion that your conference has been so adamant about.
You know, I don't think you could put this on our conference. I don't think you could put this on any particular item. We have to have a comprehensive solution to this. People have been crying out for property tax relief. How much we can do is an issue. That we must do it is absolutely necessary.
But would there not be pain if you shut down the government? I mean, if you shut down the government,
we're not shutting down the government. The governor has a tactical advantage that he's uncovered. Give him kudos for that. But he can't continue this because the legislature cannot set this precedent of doing this kind of piecemeal budgeting. Future governors would adopt this as a process of getting everything they want. Well, and that's not what our Constitution says. It says that they propose, we dispose, and we should do it and have an obligation to it on a timely basis. We've defaulted on that for sure.
Option? The
but we can't make it worse.
Okay, but the option is that if he continues to put this into the budget, and we don't know. I mean, today he said, actually, after this sort of mudslinging, crazy leaders meeting that happened at the Capitol, then Senator Dean Skelos, the minority leader, went down and talked to the governor and said, oh, okay, if Pedro Espada and Ruben Diaz, two Democrats, won't give you the votes, I'll give you the votes. You have to put more cuts into your budget.
Thank you for bringing that up, because it clarifies this notion that Pedro Espada and the Republicans are at it again in coordination. The fact of the matter is that what we're focused in on is what I've said. We can't do business this way. Republican Dean Skelos, God bless him, he sees another opportunity. It is a partisan opportunity to give the governor votes for more cuts. What we will do is continue to be consistent and say no to that kind of approach. We have to have a comprehensive settlement. If the governor wants Dean Skelos to run Albany, then they can do that.
You wanted Dean Skelos to run Albany at one time,
No, I wanted
actually.
bipartisan government that resulted in historic reforms that to this day we're practicing. Let's be clear about that.
Well, let's be clear about what we're talking about. We're talking about the Senate coup. We're talking, which yesterday was the one-year anniversary of the Senate coup.
You should know I never referred. You should know I never referred to it as a coup.
Yes, I know.
People in the media, God bless them, they can have their license and their poetic license to do that. I call it historic reform. I call it changing the way the culture of Albany had been for decades.
Would you do it again?
Well, I am giving voice to change again. That's what I'm doing here this evening. That's what I've said. We have to have a catalyst for change, not for 1 year, not for one moment, but on an ongoing basis. It's going to take more than, quote, one coup. It's going to take more than one voice to say, hey, Governor Patterson or any governor, you cannot run roughshod on any legislature and sideline it and eviscerate its role in government. You can't do that. Am I a bad guy for standing up to these kinds of incredible unilateral cuts? I don't think so. And I think as people understand it, they will agree that what we need to do is do our job and get a timely budget passed on an annualized basis and really have budget reform that will not lend this kind of circus-like atmosphere that you, and I agree with you, was staged today. We shouldn't be running government this way.
You know, some of your own colleagues, actually, Neil Breslin was here yesterday talking to me about the coup, or whatever it is you'd like to call it, the insurrection, whatever, of last summer.
Reform,
and some of your, okay, your word, not mine, but there are some of your colleagues who are quite clearly, you say, you know, are you a bad man for standing up against cuts? Well, there are some of your colleagues who feel quite clearly that you are a bad man. They're not pleased with you. They're not pleased about the coup. They're not pleased that you've been sued by Andrew Cuomo. They are not pleased that
we don't like
you
that
people
either.
demonstrating outside of your home in Mamaroneck, to the extent that that is your home. I mean, there's questions about your residency.
Whether the distraction is Neil Breslin's comments, whether the distraction is the invasion of Soundview by Attorney General Cuomo and the falsehoods therein, whatever the distractions are, give me this much credit. I stay focused on my job. I stay focused on what matters to 19.5 million people. And maybe that's the kind of leadership that Albany and the state of New York deserves.
But would you not agree that you caused, because of all of your legal problems and